Thank you very much, Greg. And thank all of you for being here this morning. On behalf of Bellarmine, our faculty, staff, administration, and especially our students and their families, I want to thank you for your generosity, for your support, and your commitment to this very special place, that very special place, and the work that we do up there. Without your continued support, a great many of the fine young men and women who make up our exceptional student body would not be able to be part of our community. And without them, our community would be lessened. Our own realization of the great mission entrusted to us by the Society of Jesus and by the Church would be imperiled. But because of your generous stewardship, we do not fear that danger, and I thank you for that. This morning, I want to take a few minutes to share with you some thoughts on the future of our school. I'll talk a bit about how the environment is changing around us and how we anticipate responding to those changes. We're an institution committed to transformation. And we usually talk about this in terms of the transformation we seek to effect, or at least to begin to effect, in our students. And we actually only create the conditions for that transformation. It is God, it's the Holy Spirit, and it's the students themselves who actually make that transformation real. But our job is to create the environment that begins that journey. And this morning we're blessed to have many of those students join us. And I hope that you've had an opportunity to hear some of their stories. Each one of them, I think, can share with you a unique story, the path of their own individual Bellarmine journey and experience. These students are a living testament to what Bellarmine is really about. And I want to thank them especially for taking the time to join us this morning. And I encourage you to get to know them over the course of our morning here together. So thank you, students, for taking the time to join us here today. Hopefully they'll share with you some stories that give you insights into the transformative effect that Bellarmine can have on these young men and women. But it's useful for us to think of the transformation, Bellarmine's transformation mission also more broadly. Not only our need and ability to transform ourselves and individuals, but also our broader mission as an institution of the Church and of the Jesuits to transform ourselves as an organization and to transform society. We need first and foremost to recognize that we operate now in a new environment. The old business model for Jesuit schools, based on things like low cost and abundant labor, an automatic network of robust parochial schools that reliably fed large numbers of students up to us, an environment where college attendance rates were relatively low, and the goal of being a college prep school was unique and commanded a premium. None of these things are true about the environment we operate in today. The market is far more competitive. With the advent of charter schools, specialized schools, aggressive public college prep programs, and in schools with programs like Running Start and IB programs, we face strong headwinds in declining demographics among our traditional constituencies, declining religiosity across the board, and a local economy that is still struggling to regain its footing after the dislocations of 2008. So in short, families today considering a Bellarmine education for their children are confronted with many, sometimes difficult decisions, and an environment that frankly offers many potentially attractive alternative choices. Too many may be choosing not to come to Bellarmine, not to invest in Bellarmine for their children, or to leave before their full education with us is complete. Some of these factors, of course, are beyond our control, but many are not, and it's our role and duty as leaders of the school and of the community of Bellarmine to understand these challenges, to anticipate, and be in front of them. We must be forward-thinking, forward-looking, positive, and optimistic. So as I said, we face this new reality honestly, and our future vitality and continued ability to serve our mission will depend greatly upon our response to that reality. We cannot afford to be complacent. We cannot be content to rest on our laurels or be overly confident that the legacy of our proud past is enough to secure our future. We have to recognize that in many ways we are in missionary territory. We must have a missionary mindset, both in terms of our faith and the superior formation and education we offer. One thing we do learn from the past of Bellarmine is that we have led the way in transforming and even reinventing ourselves, sometimes dramatically, in the face of major shifts. In 1974, Bellarmine was the first Jesuit school in the nation to go co-ed, and we were one of the first to have a lay president. Most of our sister schools in the California province have not even managed to achieve these things yet. So it's with confidence we can look ahead to the future and anticipate the ways in which we must undertake to continue to grow and learn and transform ourselves to meet these needs. The first, and I think in many ways most important transformation we must undertake, is to strengthen our awareness and our focus on relationships as the key to our future. Relationships with God, with families, with the community, with the church, and with one another. I remind our faculty and staff often that details matter. Every interaction and communication with families is a strategic one. In foreign policy today, there's a popular concept of what's called the strategic corporal or the strategic private, and that's a recognition of the fact that in the information age, strategy can be made by generals, but it's effected and implemented by privates and by corporals. So we must be aware that every interaction at every level of the school affects the strategic direction of the school. We must resist the tendency to see Bellarmine as an education and our work as a privilege that others can aspire to have. Rather, it's a service that we are blessed and fortunate enough to have the opportunity to provide. One that is marked by confidence and humility, by authority and subservience. I realize these are seemingly contradictory things, but if Jesuit education has taught me anything, it's how to live with that contradiction. How to build and operate in tension between two seemingly contradicting ideas and draw strength from both of those ideas into the service of a common goal. We must earn the trust, merit the sacrifice that we're asking of families. And by placing relationships at the philosophical and literal core of what we do, we elevate those we serve, the students, the family, the community, above our own organizational concerns. And in doing so, we strengthen ourselves and our school for the long term by building the connections and ties that will in turn sustain us. Our transition, for example, from a development office to an advancement office is one example of this. We're not merely developing the school's resources, instead we are advancing the school's mission. We're working to instill the same sense of change in all of our team. We are not a drop them off and trust us institution. We must be partners, colleagues, co-laborers with parents, and partners as well with the larger community, with the businesses and institutions with whom we are working to build the future. Another transformation that we must consider is in that of our curriculum. We have a strong curriculum and a well-respected curriculum, but we must continue to develop and demonstrate value for the sacrifice that we're asking people to make to be there. We must establish clearly the distinguishing features of a Bellarmine college prep education. Financially, 4 years of Bellarmine is almost the equivalent of 1 year at a private high-quality institution. And it should also be academically equivalent. We need to transform our curriculum to reflect tomorrow's needs and to capture the unique strengths of what a Catholic Jesuit education delivered in a traditional Ignatian style provides. Some of these things include, for example, an emphasis on leadership, a deliberate curriculum of leadership classes, mentoring and development, including especially communication, critical thinking, public speaking, and pursuit of the Jesuit commitment to eloquentia perfecta. This means the ability to engage in reasoned, informed, respectful dialogue, and to articulate the ideas and beliefs we're working so hard to instill in a manner that is clear and convincing and compelling. Without those tools, if we don't give these young men and women the tools to go out into the world and articulate the values we're instilling in them, then their ability to go forth and set the world on fire, as they're called to do, is limited. We have to also develop their abilities to stand in the public square and continue to defend and uphold those values that we are instilling in their hearts. I think also we can look at focusing on international studies and creating leaders for a global world through a wide range of coordinated and complementary programs. These could include welcoming more international students, leveraging the global network of Jesuit schools to establish exchange programs, coordinating courses across disciplines and across our curriculum, for example, in religion, in art, in literature, and in language, and exploring travel programs that are integrated not only for cultural and language immersion, but also integrated with our service mission and integrated with our ability of our desire to build global citizens. We're uniquely positioned as a port city with a trade-dependent economy on the Pacific Rim to capitalize on the environment we operate in. And I get enthusiastic excitement and support from the port and from other businesses when I talk about Bellarmine's willingness to move in this direction. I know from my own long experience in international work that this is a great area of growth and potential that will set Bellarmine apart. And as always, we must continue to focus on deliberate formation of the spiritual aspect of our students' lives. This is one truly unique aspect we know we will always have over other educational choices. Through our commitment to our retreat programs, integration of the sacraments and prayer into the routine of school life, our strong religion curriculum, executed in close coordination with the Archdiocese, we continue to place Christ at the center, and we ensure all of our students are aware of the spiritual aspect of a well-formed person, and that the foundation is laid for lifelong spirituality. Just as we say we endeavor to form lifelong learners, we must also strive to create lifelong seekers. A third transformation is that of our campus. We're committed to creating the right learning environment for the 21st century. Our plant and facilities are beautiful and we're very blessed with them, but it is aging and we're pushing it to the limits of its capacity and its life cycle. As we gradually replace components of this campus, this is an undertaking we do at a very measured pace and according to a master vision, but we do seek to build an environment that's diversified, flexible, safe, sustainable, and adaptable. One of our goals is to build a place of community. Bellarmine is a place of community, which I think is more important than ever in a society that's increasingly atomized. We're building a place that truly reflects our values, especially of quality, care, and the pursuit of excellence to the glory of God. And as I mentioned before, this idea of putting relationship at the center of all we do also informs how we build our physical environment. Our current Campus Center project is a good example of this. We speak often of this vision as a place of community, of leadership, student life, and orientation on the future. We're not merely replacing our existing building and maintaining where we are. We're envisioning and building for where we know we're going to go. Amid all this change, we must hold fast to our mission and our unique charism. These provide the anchor and lodestar for the changes we undergo. But even this, we must recognize, can be strengthened and transformed. As I said, in many ways, we are in mission territory. We must live out our Catholic Jesuit identity in a manner that is confident, unintrusive, but unapologetic, evangelizing without proselytizing. Being a Jesuit school means we are uniquely able to hold in tension competing ideas and address the challenges of the time, which often to the outside world seem so binary, so black and white. I've listened a lot in the last 2 years to a lot of people. The strongest message I hear back is that what matters in a Bellarmine grad is not what jobs they go on to do afterwards, but what kind of person they are. People whose lives are marked by leading, by caring, by service. They're motivated, confident, educated, and their hearts are restless unless they are serving. This is our greatest legacy. These are the true fruits of our labor, not measured by what college they get into or how large a scholarship they get. The world needs this answer. It's not a pretty world that we live in. The news that we're subjected to every day is filled with images of near medieval barbarism in some parts of the world, at home plagues of illnesses, suicides, and a popular culture obsessed with self, in some ways obsessed with death. This is the nihilistic existential despair of an exhausted culture that has abandoned its faith, that barely even has the will to reproduce itself, that drifts without compass and direction. And so above all, as we undergo this transformative process, we must be the ones who remain optimistic, who remain human-centered. We have the answer to these times. Our graduates are out there now, carrying that answer in their hearts and articulating it in the world, in the lives that they live. There are Bellarmine graduates serving in the Peace Corps, the Jesuit Volunteer Corps, in remote corners of the world with impoverished populations from Alaska to Africa. There are Bellarmine graduates in the Marine Corps and in the ROTC and service programs and service academies, committed also to lives of service to others, to protect and defend values even at the risk of their own lives. There are Bellarmine graduates today leading athletic teams at the college and national professional levels, always modeling sportsmanship, leadership, character, and commitment to excellence. There are Bellarmine graduates continuing to answer the vocation to holy orders in service to the church, and the Jesuits, and in some other orders too. Sorry, Father Tom. But they're all serving the church. There are other Bellarmine graduates changing the world through business, starting innovative companies, harnessing technology to address the challenges we face and improve the lives of millions. And there are many, many graduates who continue to serve and make up the backbone of our society and culture, giving back to others in their community as teachers, doctors, lawyers, public servants, volunteers, and just as importantly, perhaps even more importantly, as parents, building families together. We are answering the challenge of the times. We are making our mark. We know how the story ends, with God's triumph and the fulfillment of his plan. And we as a school are able to reach the very people who will go out and lead our response to these times. So we live in hope and joy. I don't cite those examples of darkness to create despair or fear, but only to inspire us to the challenge that we face. We must model that for the world. We must continue to instill in all whom we touch an optimism, a love of humanity, a faith in God and in themselves and in their fellow human beings. We have a very high calling, and we can make a difference in a way that few others are blessed to be able to do. That's what's called me back to Bellarmine. And that's what motivates, I think, each of you to continue to support us in so many ways. As parents, as donors, as volunteers, as benefactors. It's an honor to serve with you all in this cause, in God's name for his greater glory. And on behalf of the superb team of professionals that make up every aspect of our amazing school, I thank you once again for joining us today. I thank you for your commitment to our work. And I thank you for all that you do for Bellarmine and for the remarkable young men and women we are called to serve. God bless you all, and thank you very much this morning.